Hey, what's up there, boys and girls? This is Chris Dunham. This is a moment with the real estate guy. We have a really cool special guest on the show today. He's Mike Michaels. He's in Illinois. He actually, he and I played music together for many, many years in the 90s. We rocked the stage with many, many large national touring bands, and we have our own podcast we do called The Chris and Mike Show. And Mike's actually a past client of mine, so I thought, well, hey, this could be a fun little bring it full circle and have Mike come on the show and talk about the home buying process from a personal point of view, because again, he had used me to purchase a home back in the 90s, and we went through that process. He actually then went and became a home inspector and used him for several home inspection deals as well. Right?
Yeah, I went to school and everything, man.
Yeah, he went to school and everything. And then he moved back to the Windy City, and that's where he resides now. So
Close to it.
this is just a whole other side of my brain. This is the business side. So welcome to the show, Mike.
I had forgotten I went to home inspection school. Thanks.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember you showing up at houses with a ladder and, you know, going through and doing that, a little side hustle. You didn't do it for very long, but you still did it, which was cool.
Well, what happened was when you got me into it, you didn't need to be licensed, which was crazy. Anybody
Right.
could be a home inspector then.
Yeah.
And then I went through school and they changed all the rules and regulations, and it wasn't as easy as when we started. So
I didn't know that.
had to go down a different path. But yeah, I eventually got my certificate and everything.
That's cool. Yeah. So, little background for those that, well, I guess I already kind of said that, but so Mike and I were met in the 90s. We were at a Candlebox concert. I kept singing along with the lead singer. Mike kept turning around, looking at me during the show, and I was thinking, this guy wants to kick my ass because I'm not being quiet.
True story.
And then half the stage went out, power outage, and house lights come on, and he turns around and rips around this business card for a band he was in at the time called Desperate Angels. He's like, I'm looking for a singer. And I was like, oh yeah, I can sing.
Duh.
and
I've been doing it for half the show.
Yeah. So it was an audition in its own right, because I was singing along with Kevin Martin. With if you know Candlebox, that's not an easy task to accomplish. And I must have been in key the entire time because it impressed Mike. And
yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was telling that story the other day, and I've never told it this way, but we've talked about it enough doing 100 and some podcasts. It really was an audition in its own right. You never had to audition because you sang for an entire show right behind me.
Right. Who would have thought, right? But then, what a better place to have an audition, right? Because you don't feel the pressure. All you're doing is enjoying a show and singing along with somebody that you had mad respect for, still do.
But what I was hearing is you were nailing every one of those songs one after another, and you just kept going. And I'm like, man, if he can sing that hard over the top of an entire concert, I'm sure he can do it just fine by himself.
Yeah. So those that you didn't know about the real estate guy and his background in music, there was a decade.
Chris has played many thousands of shows.
Yeah, there's a decade of me being on the stage, and which kind of fits, those that me, fits the personality, the extrovert, and not afraid to stand in front of people. Those that watch my videos and all my other stuff I do, it's just kind of fell in my wheelhouse. So let's talk a little bit about Mike Michaels, the home buyer. And do you remember this at all? I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, so
it's been a minute. Okay.
What's cool for me to be sitting here talking, I mean, we've been friends since day one, but what's cool for me to sit here talking to you when I just saw you past 26 years of selling real estate. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I was there in the beginning. I was one of your first clients. So
yeah.
You had sold, I think you'd been licensed for maybe a year when you sold.
Probably. Yeah. Because I got my license in 99.
We bought it in 2000.
Yep. And that's kind of the year I started. Yep. Because I waited till January 1st. I graduated school in November, passed all my tests, and I waited to hang the license January 1. I wanted a fresh start for the year. Ooh.
The coolest thing I remember, and I mean, obviously I was I had the inside scoop, right? Because we were literally looking for a house for her family and a place for us to jam, right?
Yeah.
That was our goal at the time. See, I remember.
Yeah.
You were so patient, man. You were just like, if you like the first house you see, we'll get that. But, let's go look at 10 or 15 houses and give you a nice overview, of what there is in and out of your price range, in your price range, and you would explain if you buy something a little over budget, you're not going to have to put a roof on it. You were good about telling at least us, because we didn't have a lot of money. Think about, does it have a good water heater? Does it have a good furnace? Does it have a good roof? Does the swamp out there, you have
Yeah.
swamp coolers, which that house had. I was just impressed with the level of detail over and above selling the house that you went to for us, knowing where we were in a dire financial situation. We should have never been able to buy a house. So for the people that don't understand what happened in the housing crisis, in the the bubble when it
Yeah.
burst, people like us were getting loans who had no way of paying that loan. We were right on that edge.
Right. Right. You guys were approved because we took it to the entire process of loan approval. So it wasn't.
I'm not saying there was anything shady.
Right.
I'm just saying if Carrie and I in that situation came to you now, and there's no way we would get along. The rules
have changed. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The rules have changed.
No, I wasn't saying we were doing anything under the table. It was just thinking about it now, it's like there is no way a bank in this day and age would give us a loan for that house.
Funny you should say that, because some of the subprime stuff, and we weren't subprime back then because the parameters were different,
Right.
But I'm just letting you know that some of the subprime stuff is coming back, and that's the shit that made the market. There are a couple of things that made the market crash when it did originally. Number one, Clinton had signed that deregulation bill, which allowed banks to then legally commingle.
Yes.
So they could take their stock mutual fund, whatever, and they could take
that was
the
a
housing
bad bill
market.
move.
Right.
And so was repealing the Glass-Steagall Act.
Yeah. So those two things, in my opinion, is what created the chaos when the market crashed. But then I was getting, I don't think we've ever talked about this. Then I was getting phone calls from lenders while I was in that era of chaos where you put a sign in the ground and you had 20 offers on it.
That's crazy.
But
how long did that go on? Not to interrupt you, but
not very long. No, you're fine. I want to say maybe a year. It was too long. It really was too long, because what came out of that?
It had to have been too long, because it feels like it went on for years, which is why I asked the question. So to find out that it was like, let's say 12 to 14 months.
Yeah.
Look at the damage that was done in that short amount of time, right?
Yeah. 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 And it was, I kind of looked at it like it was, remember we were young in the 80s, but the 80s was that decade of decadence, right? Where you just more, everybody just wanted more. Everybody just gimme.
If you were living in Miami, Los Angeles, New York, you were partying up a storm, right?
Yeah.
Bigger cities, for sure.
Yeah. Decade of decadence. So that kind of, I saw greed take over big time in that, let's call it 18 months time frame of chaos, to where, if you had a job, there was rumors of stories that were out there that if you had a job as a manager at Taco Bell, you got approved to buy a house on Camelback Mountain, which you had no business being approved for. But they had what was called 4 different types of payment options. When you borrowed money, you'd have the traditional principal, interest, taxes, insurance payment that everybody typically pays nowadays. I pay that, you pay that. Okay. Then you have a principal only, where you could just pay a principal payment. So the insurance and taxes and the interest, you didn't even pay attention. You're just paying principal. So you could take your taxes outside of escrow. You could pay your homeowner's insurance outside of escrow.
We're having a thunderstorm, so you're going to hear some thunderstorms.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
So you had what was called a pay option arm, to where you're just paying a piece. You could just pay the principal. You could just pay the interest. So a lot of people were just paying the interest. What they weren't told.
I knew a lady that was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. What they weren't told is the rest of that goes onto the back of the loan.
Yes. Which is what she found out in our
time
talking about
so,
this. Yes.
So here's the thing.
She no longer has that house.
Right. Well, we succumbed to that too, because we didn't. Our lender that I knew at the time was a good friend of mine. We worked
together.
You and Nikki did? Yeah. we had no idea because when I'm not going to name his name. I mean, I still like him. It wasn't his fault per se. He didn't understand the product he was selling. He was a newer lender, and he's like, these 4 options are great, and here's the one you can do that is absolutely fine. I was like, sweet, So we did the pay option arm. We were just paying the interest payments. Well, then I don't know, a year into it, I just turned over my mortgage statement because back then nothing was done really online yet. I turned it over. I'm like, what the hell? Like, why do I owe 20,000 more than the other what I originally borrowed? That just doesn't make sense. And
So
then
you were seeing your balance go up.
the balance went up, and it was tripping me out. I was like,
Not supposed to be happening.
no, exactly. I was like, that's crazy. So I called him, and I was like, hey man, what's up with this? So then he was kind of taken back because he didn't realize that caveat of it, because it was a subprime. It wasn't a subprime loan because our credit was good. It was a jumbo loan at the time because we had bought a $500,000 house, and back then jumbo I think was like $498 or something. And we put money down, all that kind of jazz, but we just didn't realize what I was doing was negative.
Explain a jumbo loan for people who don't
A
understand.
jumbo loan like you had. Let's go to the numbers
don't
right.
understand.
Yeah. Let's go to the numbers right now. We'll tell you what they are, because
A lot of times when I'm asking questions, it's because I don't understand.
Okay, so
I've heard that term. I don't know what it is.
yeah, it's just it's more. You're borrowing more than the conventional.
So
Okay,
once
right
you get
now,
past
jumbo,
a certain,
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. What price is considered jumbo loan right now? A jumbo loan is $806,500. If you are buying a house for $1 million, boom, you're a jumbo loan. If you're not putting
Okay.
down $200,000, you're jumbo loan, and all that means is that your rates are going to be higher. The loan is considered jumbo if the amount exceeds the loan servicing limits by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, again, which is currently $806,500. So anything above that, you're kind of pushing the envelope. So most of them require 20% down. Because of that, they want you to conform with the other loans. I don't want to go down this total rabbit trail because people's brains are going to start swimming. Some of the lenders, they require anywhere from 20 to 30% down to do a jumbo loan because they want you to have a vested interest in the home.
Well, okay, that would lead me to another question, because you and
Okay.
I have a vested interest, you
Right.
as a business, but I love to watch shows where people who are buying houses that are ridiculous amounts of money, right? So let me ask you this question. Is that why, and it seems like duh, that the people obviously want all cash offers, because you run into all these red tape problems when you're trying to buy a $200 million home on a mortgage?
Yeah, the higher.
Do you notice that they really don't
Yeah.
even want to talk about somebody who has a mortgage? They're like, don't you
Yeah.
have a cash buyer? I've seen them take less money for
Yeah.
a house, all cash,
Yeah.
than to have to dick with a mortgage.
You're good. And it depends on the situation. Like I just negotiated a contract where I was against a cash offer. Okay. So I had a buyer who's financing VA, and the other agent told me, okay, we're getting an offer, supposed to be getting an offer. This agent showed it 2 times now, and they're supposed to bring us a cash offer. I'm like, okay, just keep me posted. So me being me, I continuously poked the bear. I gave them 24 hours to response. In Arizona, typically, if you submit a contract at 6 p.m. on a Friday night, you're asking for a response by 6 p.m. Saturday night, because you want to give them the opportunity to talk to the clients and get discuss how they're going to respond to the offer. So I always give 24 hours. And I always abide by those timelines, because I respect the time of the contract, because, you don't want to waste the other people's time, vice versa. So when he told me they were getting a cash offer, so I was like, okay, that's cool. Just keep me posted. So this was Friday, sometime Friday night. So Saturday morning, I messaged him. I was like, hey, just, poking the bears, 9:00. Did that offer come in? No, not yet. Okay. Actually, I think it was Thursday night. It was this week. This is Tuesday. Oh, so maybe it was Sunday. This just happened. Maybe it was, I don't know. We'll just fucking go with the
Recently.
story. Squirrel.
Recently.
So I just kept poking at the other agent, Corey, and every few hours, like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Just kind of, chime in and see if that cash offer came in. Well, the other buyer was kind of him hawing around, dragging their feet. Well, he had my offer in hand. I got him. We had a little delay getting the pre-qual letter because my lender was tied up for the weekend and his processor was out of town. So we got the pre-qual letter first thing Monday morning. So it was Sunday. So I got the pre-qual first thing Monday morning. So I kept kind of poking at him yesterday saying, hey, where are we at? And so about 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and maybe about 2 o'clock, I'd poked at him. And 2 o'clock, he's like, I just don't have anything from them yet. We're just, my seller, former lending world. So she understands the VA side of things. I'm like, that's cool, because the biggest problem with a lot of veteran financing is they don't understand the VA loan. They're afraid of it because they think it's a lot more strict or stringent than regular conventional financing, which it is. But, I like the FHA and the VA because I think they hold the house, if you can, that holds the house more accountable. FHA is looking for specific things condition-wise that have to pass their test to release the funding.
Isn't that what we
finance
had?
it?
FHA
Yes, you had
loan?
FHA.
Yeah.
You had an FHA program where you got the down payment was grant money, I believe.
Yes, people, we had no money.
Yeah, well, that was the cool thing back then, man. I could sell a house to a first-time buyer for $3,000 total out-of-pocket cost.
That's
It was
crazy,
wonderful, and I could help educate them. I loved it. I love working with first-time home buyers, man.
Yeah, you taught
they're
us so much
yeah,
about like
that's
the
what I
things that
love.
I knew not to do when I bought this house. I
Yeah,
learned probably 80% of
right
them
on.
that first time going through you. It's like, okay, don't do this, don't do that.
Yep. That's the biggest compliment I get from first-time home buyers when they've moved away from Arizona to another state. Without exception, every single one that's done that I've stayed in contact with has come back to me at some point in time. Man, I wish you could sell houses in Chicago,
For sure.
or Nebraska, or Oklahoma, or LA, or just, and that's really cool, because it shows my approach to helping somebody buy a home is
Well, I
not
guess
just
what I
cut
could
and
say
dry.
about it from, obviously buying a house from you and
Yeah.
being a friend of yours is
Yeah.
both things I always say I have my people, right? I have my mechanic, I have my
Yeah.
roof guy, I have people I
Yeah.
trust, right? But
Right.
mostly it's because I always say as a musician, right? You have to know how to play your instrument. That's a given.
Right.
It's the person behind that is what I'm looking for, right? You make people
Yeah.
feel comfortable. I can speak from experience, and that's so important to me because it's such a it's probably the most stressful time in
Right.
your life, other than maybe becoming a parent or something,
Having a
But-
baby is a big deal, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
That's the
It's by
most money you're ever going to spend. My
Mhm.
dad always said that. It's the most money, still says it. That's the
Yeah.
most money you're ever going to spend in one sitting for most people, right?
Yeah.
That's how much more stressful could it get? You always made us feel comfortable and calm. And it's like, hey, we'll figure this or that out, whatever the problem was. I think I got a solution. Like you said, I forgot about the grant money. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that was one of my, like, if I had a niche back then, my niche was first-time buyers. And really it's truly something that I just absolutely loved working with first-time
It
home
was
buyers
obvious.
for the sheer fact that they didn't know. A lot of first-time home buyers don't believe they have the ability to buy a house. So when I still get them, I still have first-time home buyers. It's just a different approach now, but it's really neat to be like, hey, we got you approved. And like, what? No way I could buy a house. Yes, you can. And then we have the conversation. What are you looking for? Where do you want to live? What cities? And then we start that aspect of it. And then we're looking at houses and opening doors. And I'm not one of those, you can attest this. I'm not one of those realtors that opens the door and stands back and says, there you go. I'm talking to you. I'm educating you. I'm feeding your brain knowledge without you really realizing it while we're walking through the homes. Because then when it comes time to actually make an offer on something, as you read through the contract, oh, he talked about that. Oh, he talked about this. Oh, I remember this conversation. So the whole time that I'm working with buyers, it's a subtle education.
And now that you say that,
yeah.
the thing that impressed me too is when we would call you about a house. I remember you called the one we bought, the fireman's house, but you had a name for everybody's house.
Yeah,
Like you knew, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the one with the big palm tree and the little rock
Yeah,
in the front.
yeah.
Okay, that one. Now I know. It was just cool.
Yeah.
Right away, you knew exactly what we were talking about as buyers.
Yeah.
And that's impressive because a lot of times you run into real estate agents that spread themselves too thin, and you call them up and they're like, "Who's this? What house?"
Right.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, that was the one thing for me too to keep, because I'm that agent. I've always given feedback to the other realtor that's involved, because that's how we as realtors, we get to understand what the consumer thinks, what our peer thinks. So then we can give that feedback to our owner and say, hey, we've had 6 showings and everybody's saying the price is good, but they don't like that room that's painted green. So let's paint the room white, right? Let's get rid of the green room because that's turning people off. And those things are very helpful when you're working with sellers to sell their homes, because my eyes see something, your eyes are going to see something. When Nikki and I bought houses, first thing she looks at is baseboards, man.
That's crazy.
Walking in the house, she's baseboards. And so I've learned that from her. When I go on listing appointments where I'm going to list a house, the first thing I look at, man, is I look at the front yard. Because to me, if the front yard's dialed in and meticulous, then you're going to walk in, the house is going to be cared for, right?
I agree.
It's going to be clean. So that's my first thing. But then when I walk in now, because of the Nikki influence, I look at baseboards and I'm like, okay, you can tell if they've had dogs, you can tell if they've had kids. If they're not wiped down, if they're not clean, then obviously that's a precursor to, okay, what else is it? Then I look up at the AC filter and like, okay, the vent's dirty, which falls in line with the baseboard. So then I have to have the come Jesus conversation with the seller. This is what you need to do. You need to clean your house. You need to wipe down the baseboards. You need to take all the pictures off the walls. And, we totally went down the selling path. But back to the buyer side, again, the coolest thing was getting somebody who didn't think they could buy a house approved, and then actually showing them houses and walking them through everything. And then once they're ready to close, we're at the signing table signing their loan docs, and they're still kind of in awe, like it's surreal. This is really happening.
It was amazing, dude.
Yeah. And
I
then
never thought I would own a home.
Right? And then when they get the keys, it's that moment. That's what gets me excited. That's the euphoria. That's the high. That's the adrenaline. It's like, I did that. I helped Mike and Carrie invest in their future by buying a house that, regardless of what happens 5, 6, 7 years later.
Yeah, that's not your problem. At that moment in time, that was the happiest day of our life,
Right.
Owning a home.
And where it's going that 5, 6, 7 years later, they can sell it, and make some money and then move up. I had really cool family. I won't mention the name, but really cool. First time, single mom, 2 kids. Got a lot of those, but this one, it was after the market crash. She could only afford like 60 grand, right? But when the market crashed, it crashed. So 60 grand was doable. So I think you probably remember where Michael Terrell lived.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So in that general area, we found her a home, house in the street off the main road, which wasn't ideal, but it was what it was. It was a HUD house. And for those of you who don't know what a HUD home is, it's a house that's gone through the foreclosure process. It went to auction at the courthouse steps. Nobody wanted to buy it. Bank took it back, refused to let it sell at auction, and then turned around and sold it to HUD. They sell it to HUD for whatever was owed, we were always told.
Used to be a great mafia scam.
Right?
Yeah.
So back in the day, HUD was a great way to buy a home. You could have a $200,000 HUD house, let's say it's worth 200 grand. HUD have it listed for 130. Because I knew the math to do with owner occupants, I knew the threshold from trial and error, how low I could offer below that price point and actually get it accepted. So I could get a $200,000 house, HUD listed for $130,000. I could get it for 100 grand, let's say. The cool thing about HUDs is you'd get the entire inspection report. So you know right away what's up with this house. It's 100% sold as is. What you see is what you get. There are 2 different programs that worked with HUDs called 203K and 203B. The difference was $5,000. $5,000 or less was a certain financing program to where you can buy that house for $60,000. You end up getting it for $65,000 because you have $5,000 or less in repairs. Okay. And you finance those in. If it's over $5,000, say it's $10,000 worth of work, then you finance $70,000 and you have that $10,000 cushion for repairs. You do the repairs in a certain amount of time frame. They come out, take a look, check off, you're good to go. Okay. And it's just rolled into your loan. Don't do those anymore. But that was a great product for first-time home buyers.
No, because I tried to do it when I bought this house. I didn't get it. Wasn't a HUD house, I tried to actually get more money for my bathroom repair, which still hasn't been done. But
okay,
she was like, don't even try and go down that road. She's like, we're right where we need. So I'm just reinforcing your point that they don't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah. So the cool thing about her, 60 grand. I don't remember if she had any type of help with repairs and stuff, but we'll just call it 60 grand. I want to say like 10 years later, she calls me up. Hey, I'm ready to sell my house. I want to move to the East Valley. I want to move to Santan Valley. I want to buy a newer home. She never did anything she never got a second. She just kept paying off her mortgage. She owed like 40 grand by now.
It's about where I'm at right now.
Single mom. The kids were older now. She then had a gentleman in her life. We sold that house for like 300 grand. She pocketed everything. We took all that money and put it into the new house in Santan Valley, which she had a minimum mortgage, maybe 50 grand was the mortgage, because everything else she just threw down and paid on the house. So her payment really didn't change. So her life didn't change.
She just got a damn nice house.
Right. She completely upgraded her life. And then that house has gone on to build equity for sure. Cause she bought it low and then she sold it high. And then we were able to get your Santan Valley house, it wasn't nuts yet. So that was I think a 2-story, 4 or 5 bedroom house, 3 bathrooms, good sized yard. I want to say around 250, if that. So that's the cool thing. That's
what's that house worth now?
I have 400, 500,000 easy.
See, that's crazy.
And that's the cool thing. That's what I love doing is taking somebody who couldn't do something, then they did it, and then they could go step up and do it again and improve their lifestyle, improve their living space, and improve their schools, because it wasn't the greatest part of Phoenix. So she got better schools, she got better community, she got community parks and swimming pools, things like that. And,
yeah, your whole life changes when you move.
Whole life changed. Yeah,
like you said, it was a halfway decent neighborhood to this is how people are living today. You're literally going up almost years in, like you said, amenities and roads and schools and just the quality of the house. That's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, and that's the coolest thing about it. So it's things like that always just. That's why I love
relate.
what I do.
I found rock bottom, and here I am sitting here talking to you today. So
right.
I like moving up in the world myself.
Yeah. And real
estate. And it's always nice when you can do it for a little bit of money. Like you said, 50 grand to get a $250,000 investment. Yeah. Which is now worth twice that again.
Yep. Yeah, probably. And she ended up, because she had so much equity, she ended up buying some dirt somewhere up north, and it's kind of, building a off the grid retreat, which, is great. So it's just, it's a cool thing that if you do it right, you can build your future without realizing. Like Nikki and I had the conversation a couple of days ago. Like we gave Sky in June, like we got 2 years and we're out. Like I'm tired of this yard. I love the yard, but I'm tired of doing it. I got out there this morning at 9:00 and I went until 1:15. And I still have stuff to do in the front yard. And I'm just like, I'm like, I'm done.
You know where I live. I'm very familiar with large spaces and people having to maintain them. It's a lot of work, man. Yeah. I don't want to do that either. So, that's why I bought the house I bought.
Right. So that's our 2-year plan now is in 2 years, we're going to give them the roadmap to be successful so I can help them buy a house as their realtor. And then we're gonna sell this puppy. Right now, we owe just under 5, and it's worth 1.3 today. So in 2 years, I'm probably 1.5. So we're gonna sell it and basically go find a small 4-bed, 2-bath house with a pool, pay cash for it, not have to worry about that. Get new vehicles, because we buy our vehicles and we drive them until they're not drivable.
Me too.
It's
the way to go.
Yeah. So
for you kids out there that are listening, it's not the guy who has the nicest car that paid cash for it wins. That's the moral of the story.
Right. And I never buy new. We've never bought new. The closest we got to new was,
they say 3 years old or 2 years old is the sweet spot.
Yeah. The closest we got to new was my Chevy pickup.
Damn,
that I got. It had 2,400 miles on it. It was
I remember seeing pictures of that.
Yeah, Highland Chevrolet, I think was who it was, but we went on the lot and I just showed up. We went on the lot from the car guy, and he's showing me these, crew cab trucks that aren't lifted and have the wimpy tires on them. Like, none of these work, man. We're walking back to the showroom, and I see the black truck. It was a 2004 Chevy Silverado Z71 VTEC 4.8. Thing was a
Yes.
beast, man.
yeah.
I mean,
Negative
everything
8 miles to the gallon.
yeah, everything you could do to this truck, this guy did. And I was like that, man. That's the truck I'm talking about. I want that truck. He's like, you can't have that truck. It's the dealership's owner's son. I'm like, if it's the dealership's owner's son, it's for sale because he has the pick of anything else out here.
Right.
So go figure that out. So back then it was obscene. It was $48,000 for that truck. Right.
What year was that? Do you remember? Roughly.
2004. It was because it had
obscene.
It had a 2,400 miles on it. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. It was 2001 because it was before when we still lived in Mesa. I had it, so it was a 2001 Chevy Silverado Z71 crew cab.
Well, that's why I remember it. I probably rode in it.
Yeah, VTEC 4.8 4-wheel drive. I had that thing, and it was in 5 accidents. None of them, not one of them, were my fault. Didn't do shit to my truck because they were all women. No offense. And I saw them coming, so I'd speed up or slow down so they'd hit me in my center wheel cap on my tire, 2 different tires, all 4 times. Nothing ever happened to me. It was kind of funny. One turned into me, and I rolled my window down, I looked down her little white car. I'm like, how do you not see me? I'm a big black truck. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. I didn't see you. Her entire front is destroyed. Like, it's just destroyed.
Man,
I have this in my center cap on my driver's side rim, the little chip in the paint. Because then she pulls back into the parking lot. I pull in and I get out, look at my truck. I'm like, oh, there's a little in my wheel cap, and your entire front end is destroyed. I just bought this car. I hope you got insurance, and then I hit a deer. I hit a deer going 65 miles an hour on a back road of Flagstaff coming home from the Grand Canyon, and I saw one jump between me and who I was following. And as I looked to the right, I could just based off the shadows of the light, I could see something coming. So I stepped on my gas even harder, which was good because then it went under my truck. And I had a tow hook in front. The tow hook cut it in half. So you went boom, boom. And then I come to a stop. I get out. I walk to the front of the truck. The entire front of my truck is just hissing and boiling and spewing fluid and stuff. So I had walked backwards and then saw half the deer on this side of the road, half deer on that side of the road. I had been smart enough to flash my blinkers, like, so they knew something happened. So they turned around. Yeah. Sat out there this was 11 o'clock at night, sat out there probably till 3 a.m. because they had this in a tow truck, wrong tow truck, wouldn't fit my truck. So they had to send another tow truck out. The DPS cop came out and then he left because he's like, I'm not going to sit here and wait anymore. So yeah, 278,000 miles is when I hit that deer. It was never the same. Never the same. And I owned it and the insurance company didn't total it. It was about $8,000 worth of damage that they fixed. But just, it never ran the same, man. I didn't have a speedometer. I didn't know how fast I was going anymore.
Well, living around here, man, people hit deer all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we have hunting seasons for those of you who are vegans. We have to kill so many deer so Chris doesn't hit them.
Right. What was weird, though, it's one of those weird things, right? We were going to take Nikki's Honda Pilot.
And you might have been dead in that.
Right, because we ended up that we were going to go camping. So we needed my truck for the truck bed. So we took the truck instead of her Pilot. But if it was a Pilot, the deer would have came into the windshield.
I'm pretty sure my sister had one come in her windshield.
Yeah, it absolutely would have flown up into the windshield. No doubt about it.
I'll have to ask her about that. I might have dreamt that up, but I'm almost positive in one of her cars, she hit a deer and it came up the hood and busted her windshield.
Yeah, it would have. And we were full. I had Jake, Sky, Nikki. Nikki was drive passenger side. Jake, Sky, and one of our goddaughters in the middle. I think Trey was back there too. So we had 4 people in the back seat. I buckled in, singing Ultra Bridge,
Of course.
Singing Rise Today, and,
Stupid
deer. And then so I fixed it and it just, I think like 290,000 miles. I ended up getting rid of it. And
that's a lot of miles, man.
Yeah, but it, dude, I took care of that thing. Like it The first brake change I ever did was 170,000 miles, and they were shocked.
Was it
Because the brakes were
automatic?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah,
Usually people who drive stick shifts are good at that. I don't think I ever put a set of brakes on the car that I had a 5-speed in
yeah, yeah.
because I
That
just
was a good
downshifted all the time.
Yeah, oh yeah, but no, I took care of that. I mean, I take care of all my vehicles, but that,
Me too.
if I wouldn't have hit that deer, I'd probably still be driving that because it looked that good. And then with what they do nowadays, I would have probably ended up wrapping it. And the only thing that was wrong with it when I hit the deer, when you get in and out of the driver's side, that little part of the seat was leather. It started wearing, so you could start seeing the cloth coming
Right.
through. Steering wheel was a little hand rubby. You know, you can see where I usually set my hands.
Well, yeah, that's to be expected after almost 300,000 miles.
Yeah. And then, a couple dings in the
You
center
get
caps,
comfortable in there.
But it had, here's the cool thing back and then, right? It had the Bose sound system, which wasn't standard. It had
I got that
TVs
too.
in
I
back
love
of the
it.
headrests, right? Both
I don't
headrests
have
had
that.
TVs in them. That not only was a DVD player and a VCR. So the VCR was underneath my
And for you kids that are
back
literally
seat.
kids, that was
Uh-huh.
high technology.
Yeah. Yeah. They had headphones, so they could have headphones on watching the movie, so I could have the radio on. I had a moonroof, it was cool, man. It was a badass truck. The payment was like $820.
Here's a crazy
that's
fact that I
insane.
bet you don't know. Do you know the
Okay.
difference between a moonroof and a sunroof?
I do not.
I didn't either, so I had to look
Okay.
it up. Inquiring minds wanted to know.
Yeah.
Almost everything now is a moonroof. A sunroof is what you and I remember being kids when the guy
Yeah.
would take the actual physical piece off. It either is mechanical and slides back, but it's not, you can't see through it, right? It's still part
Okay.
of the car.
Like the Corvettes.
Yes. Well,
That's what came to
those
mind.
would be T-tops.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah, Corvettes had sunroofs at one time
Yeah.
too, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was physically part of the car, like the same
Okay.
color and everything.
Yeah.
So almost everything now is a moonroof. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Okay. That's interesting.
The things you learn talking to us.
So yeah, see, a moment with the real estate guy, we're talking about cars.
This is just what we do, people. Sorry. Don't mean to hijack your real estate show, but
No, this is what it is. This is kind of what the Chris and Mike show's about. We talk about whatever we talk about organically and just have a conversation. So we've
yeah,
already
but when you
talked
have a
about,
lender on or something, they're obviously going to know
Yeah.
way more than I do. I just know what I know about buying a house. I've only bought 2 of them in my entire life, so.
Right.
But I will say
What-
and reinforce again, when I bought this house, there were so many things that I remember, you talking about as far as down payments and PMI. That was the big one, is
Yep.
I knew I didn't want PMI, right?
Yeah.
And I did my
20%.
best. I put 10% down, and then I saved up and I made 2 lump sum payments to get it to 20% because
Cool.
you had told me that all those years ago. That's
Yeah.
you're like lighting that money on fire every month, I think is what you said. You're insuring the bank's loan is basically what you're doing, right?
Right. And that's why when the market crashed and Obama had to send all that bailout money to all the big banks, but then he had to do it with all the other ones as well. The mortgage insurance kicked in, boys and girls. So when the market crashed back in the day and all those foreclosures were going on, short sales and whatnot, the banks weren't losing money because the mortgage insurance was in place. The gap between what the consumer owed and what it was worth went upside down, but the banks were still insured. The ones that took it in the shorts were Goldman Sachs, the ones that hedged all their bets on the mortgage industry, and it's not going to fail and it's not going to crash. And
Those were all the subprime mortgages.
right,
They were
yep.
held by those kind of institutions.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, they bought them. They bought them all. So yeah, Countrywide's a huge subprime lender, and the big banks that failed, that collapsed because they hedged all their money with those subprime rates and subprime loans, which were, I'm working at Taco Bell and I live on Camelback Mountain, and because the rules and the laws
You're
changed,
balling, dude.
he didn't make a payment and lived there for a year.
You said something a second ago that I've never understood, so here's something
Okay.
you can teach people, myself included.
Okay.
What is a short sale?
Short sale. So actually doing one of these right now, ironically enough. We have a house, a client of mine has a house in Florence, Arizona. in a community that's the furthest point southeast in the community. Like I kid you not, it's the. So 18 months on the market, did everything that I do for every single time I sell a house, did nothing different. Couldn't get people out there. They were battling with 3 different new home developments they're in the same neighborhood. It's the furthest thing out. The yard is really small, which they know. We've talked about it. Floor plan's great, but it just we couldn't sell it. So we just kept price drop. And then she got a job. She got relocated to a different state. Then it's like, holy smokes, we have, this mortgage and we have to be able to survive here. It's not functioning. It's not going to work. Financially, we can't afford it. So that puts them into position of a short sale. A short sale is something that you're going to do to prevent foreclosure from happening, because if you foreclose on a house, that destroys your credit. A short sale is going to hurt your credit, but it's not going to destroy it like a foreclosure will. Now, understand, a mortgage late is a mortgage late is a mortgage late. So if you have a mortgage late on your credit report, you're just screwed, because that's detrimental to you. So you got a couple years, you're going to have to work your way out of that anyway. So a short sale is the lesser of the evil. It's a lesser of a foreclosure. So what happens in this example, we'll use some made up numbers. Say they owe $400,000.
Okay.
And we have it listed at $350,000, and then we get an offer for $3 million. You're shorting the bank $100,000.
Okay.
Basically what it is.
I still owe that $100,000 or no?
You don't, because you're short selling it. The insurance is going to kick in and offset that difference.
So the bank obviously has to agree to this, right?
Absolutely. The bank has to approve it. Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
100%. So it can't be, I just decided not to pay the mortgage. You have to explain the hardship. You have to explain that I moved, I got relocated. My job relocated me to this other state. I can't afford both to live in this new state and pay that mortgage. It's possible. I don't make enough money. My husband doesn't make enough money combined. We can't afford doing this. So something's got to give. Okay. So what gives is the mortgage. The bank would rather allow the short sale to happen than a foreclosure, because the bank doesn't want to be in the real estate game. People think, bank-owned properties, blah, blah. The bank doesn't want to own real estate. It's an inconvenience. It's a holding cost for them. Whenever I do what's called broker price opinions for banks, and what that means is I went out a couple weeks ago to a house in Eloy. Their foreclosure date is set. Their auction date's set. The bank wanted me to establish what I thought the value was. I went out there. I had to take pictures and stuff. They were home. They saw me. A little weird situation, because why is this black truck slowly rolling around my house 3 different times? Because I got to take certain pictures. I got to verify it's the address of the house, and a picture straight on the front, one to the right side of the house, one to the left side of the house. I got to get the backyard if possible. They were home, so that's why I kept kind of circling. I tried to wait till they went inside, then I could zoom in, take some pictures from the backyard. They want pictures of what's across the street from the house, what's this side in front of the house, that side in front of the house. What do the streets both look like? What's their neighbors look like? What's behind them? Do I see anything that is in disarray that needs repaired? Is the roof okay? Is the house itself stucco?
Now, are you doing this for the bank, or are you doing this for
I'm
the
doing
client?
it for the bank.
Okay.
I'm doing it for the bank.
Just making sure I'm keeping up.
Yeah. Doing it for the bank. I have reached out to 4 different banks that hire people like me to do that, and I got chosen by one. So I get anywhere from $50 to $200 depending on where the house is at and the time to do the BPO. But so the broker price opinion, BPO, was the next step that's going to happen with the short sale. They're going to send somebody like me out. They're going to walk the house. They're going to verify it's still there. It's in good condition. It's clean. It's free of any damage and disarray, which it is. And then they'll say, okay, well, based on this and based on the market analysis, which is I want to find at least 3 sold comparable properties. So you want to be 10% plus or minus square footage. If their subject has 4 bedrooms, you really want to find all 4 bedroom comparables. You don't want to find 3 and 5 because it doesn't jive.
This is also your job to find these 3. Okay.
Yep. It's basically how I run value on a house. Like if you called me up and said, hey, I want to sell my house, then this approach is the same approach. It's the same approach as an appraiser. What I end up filling out for these banks is basically a full-blown appraisal.
So the same thing you do for your own real estate business
listings
every day. Now you're just doing it for the bank, and they're paying you money.
Correct.
That's awesome. Continue with your short sale.
It's a little side hustle. So they'll send somebody out to do BPO on this house in Florence, and they'll verify that, this is what it's worth. This is why it's not selling. This is where it could be sold at. So the bank come back and say, we don't like that price of 300,000. We want 340. So then it's up to the buyer who's buying it to say, okay, buyer, the bank came back at a 340 approved price. Do you accept that or not? If they say no, then we go back on the market at that approved price. So then we hit the market again and I say short sale approved price. So then people know this price is approved. We just have to get it under contract and follow the bank steps to get us under contract and close. So the bank has the ultimate say. So where I was going at with the why banks don't want to have real estate in their portfolio, because then they have to pay somebody like me to go out there and do a BPO. Then they got to pay somebody like me, which this isn't me, but they got to pay somebody like me that's going to go out there once a week. They're going to take pictures of the exterior, take pictures of the inside, take a picture of all the appliances. They got to pay that person time and gas, right? So then you got to pay the heavy utilities on. So if they have a pool, you got to decide if you're going to drain the pool or keep the pool full. If you're going to keep the pool full, then you got to keep the water on. Then you got to pay a landscape company. You got to pay the utility bills. So all of a sudden, this short sale turns into a foreclosure. Now the bank owns it. So when the bank owns it, they start having to fish out money. Got to pay the utilities. In Arizona, you got to keep the air on. You can't have a house that's vacant, and 120 degrees outside because nobody's going to show it. Right? You got to keep the plants alive. So you got to keep the water going. You got to have a landscape company to take care of the yard and the flowers and the grass and the trees and stuff like that. So you're paying $300-400 per house because utility bills and maintenance is required. So if you have 100 houses as a real estate owned portfolio, REO, all of a sudden you're spending $3 to $5 grand a month just to maintain these 100 houses.
So if you're looking at it from the bank's perspective, now all of a sudden they have all this burden of outgoing money every month where they used to have a mortgage coming in plus interest, right?
Exactly. Which is why
it sounds like it's an incredible expense for them.
It is. And they're an entity. So then you have the problem with you're buying a house from an entity and they can't disclose things. They won't disclose things because they've never lived there. So then you automatically are getting offers below list price because they know they're buying something 100% as is, what you see, what you get. They're not going to do anything when it comes to repairs. They're not going to give you an allowance for any repairs. They're saying, nope, it's as is, what you see is what you get.
Well, thinking about it from an investor standpoint, which I am,
right.
I'm a stockholder in many different companies and I do my own investing. So I have to do all the research. Thinking about it from their perspective, it's worth it losing that $100 grand because you probably would have spent that as it sat on the market with all these outgoing expenses, electricity, water, gas, Chris coming out there, God knows how many times, the other guy you're talking about that's got to go, you got to go once, he's got to go every week, right? They have to pay for that expense as well.
Yeah, Nikki did that as a side hustle one summer break. She went to the REO houses. She would drive them. She would take pictures inside, outside, and come back and upload them.
Yeah.
And it was just, and
awesome.
it was $50 a house. And she would just,
get you out of the house and you get to see all these houses.
Right. The team that I ran, because this is when I was at Solutions Real Estate, I ran the Ultimate Sales team. And so Brent, who was one of the owners of Solutions Real Estate, he actually was a huge player in the real estate owned REO market. So we probably had 100 REO houses at any given time that the team I ran, there was a sign call. So people would call in off those houses. They'd go online and I would just, round robin those leads out to people to, go sell it, go get the client, sell it. Fun little story in that era. I had these grandparents call me on a $50,000 house. They were looking to buy for their grandson. And then I showed it to them. They didn't like it. And we started talking and they ended up buying 1.1 million. He owned a publishing company. And because I treated them as I treat everybody, it was just a natural progression.
That's awesome.
Most people in my experience in my career don't want to work for first-time home buyers, don't want to work with people that aren't spending a lot of money because all they see is the compensation. They don't see the connection they can build. They don't see the rapport they can establish. They don't see the pipeline of
such an
friendships.
Important point.
Right. And so I've never turned away a first-time home buyer. I've never said no. I'll say I can't do anything right now because your credit sucks. So let's work on your credit. Let's get your credit from here to here. Then we can buy you a house.
And so you've been doing this over 25 years. Mm-hmm. You've had obviously at least hundreds of first-time home buyers, if not thousands.
Oh, yeah.
What's your recidivism rate? How many people come back percentage-wise to make this point to a person that's getting into the real estate business that's maybe looking at the big numbers?
Well,
Like over 50%?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no. And the reason why is because I didn't pay attention to the retention aspect of my business until I probably got into my 9th or 10th year.
So it's something you learned over time.
Right. And when the market sucked, I lost a lot of that because my phone calls and my touches were obviously generated towards referrals. And when the market sucks, you get that third phone call. Hey, Mike, it's Chris. Hey, Chris, I don't have anybody for you. If I find somebody that's looking to buy or sell a house, I'll have them call you. I got to go, man. Bye.
Right.
But that was the thing though. And that's one thing I learned. I had all my eggs in that basket. I had all my eggs in the referral basket. And by doing so, I had shut off all the other avenues of lead generation. So that was a mistake I made. I learned by doing mistake because I just felt referrals is the way to go. Taking care of your clients is the way to go. They're going to continue to feed you business regardless of what's going on in their lifetime. And they do, but they don't. It's a weird dynamic. I have a client, Jane. She's probably one of my highest referring clients' friends. I went to high school with her. She sent me one the other day that I listed their house. I helped her buy a house, and she's just one of my highest referring clients. It's cool. I've had other ones I never hear from, and then all of a sudden they reach out. Hey man, I want to sell my house. I send birthday cards, I send anniversary cards. A lot of that stuff falls on deaf ears. I don't get responses. Which frustrates me a little bit because it's kind of like if somebody sends me a birthday card, I must say thank you for the birthday card.
Absolutely.
But grand scheme of things, you're doing it to be top of mind, and I'm like my Facebook birthdays, things like that. That's me top of mind with people. So it's even though they may not acknowledge it, even though they may not respond to the birthday card or anniversary card, there's still past client generated business because of how I treated you. It's the same thing. It's how I treat everybody. I don't talk down to people. I don't belittle them. I walk them through the steps. I'm with them. There is no stupid question with me. It's constant ebb and flow back and forth, learning the dynamic of the person and what I can do to help. And, I had a buddy that I went to high school with, and his wife texted me last week. I hadn't talked to him maybe in 6 years. And she's like, hey, this is so-and-so's wife. We want to buy a house. I'm like,
Nice.
okay, cool. So, but just because he knew what I did, and then I come to find out they were frustrated with somebody they had worked with in the past because they weren't getting any headway, they weren't making any movement, they weren't getting anything accepted. So my approach obviously worked because now they're under contract. It's a dynamic of how you approach things, and a big thing I've always said is connections before commissions. So I don't like saying commissions because I work my ass off for my money. I don't get paid till you close. So a lot of people have this perception, oh, realtors make so much money. I don't make a thing until you close. I wake up every day home unemployed. That's how I look at it. When I list a house, I'm spending at least $1,000 out the door just to start. I don't make that money back unless the house closes. And there's times when houses don't close and they just expire because for whatever reason, we couldn't get it sold. So I took that money and threw it out my window. See ya. People don't understand that. It's not. So when you want me to negotiate what I make for a living, that's why I won't, because this is what I do.
Right.
There's
no negotiating that.
No, there's no union. We don't have a union, which is a drag.
Right.
Teachers have unions, and
I have a union.
Yeah, right. You're not going to go to a heart surgeon and say, hey, I know you want $50,000 to do the heart surgery, but I can really only afford 20. Yeah. Okay. Well, go down the street because you're not getting it here. It blows my mind that my industry, my profession is probably the most, we call them commissionectomies out there. We're the most negotiated fees. And from a buyer standpoint, we've always gotten paid by the seller. It's always been disclosed we got paid by the seller. I've been using buyer brokers since my second year in real estate. So everybody who I work with knows up front how I get paid. The only cost I carry to my buyers or sellers for the buyers anyway, outside of the compensation is a transaction fee of $500 at closing. That's it. There's no other cost that's carried over to them. So it baffles my mind that people think we don't earn our money. Working with buyers, it's time. there's a lot of time involved. It's not just, hi Mike, how are you? Oh, okay, let's go get you approved. Oh, okay, let's go get you open some doors. Let's you go into a contract. There's so much more to it than just that. What they show on TV is the fluff.
Well, yeah, they have to do it in a half hour.
Yeah. Nobody walks into a house that's $25 million. Oh, I'll take it cash. No. What they didn't show you was the year and a half that buyer's agent's been working with that person, showing them everything under the sun, all different times of day, missing out on birthday parties and showing up late for dinners and showing up late for games that your kids are playing. And we are probably one of the top 3 most stressful occupations in the country because we have to wear so many different hats.
Well, and your life gets interrupted at, like you said, the most inopportune times.
Right.
That's the other part that people don't think about. It's not like you're working 8 to 5, right? Every day.
Mm-mm. I had somebody knock on a door Christmas morning one year. My client called me. There's somebody knocking on the door wanting to show my house. I'm like, are you kidding? What? Just tell them no. It's just, lucky Nikki and I have been together so long. We had something that came up probably my 3rd year in real estate where I came home. I walked into the house and said hi, went into my office. We had a 3-bedroom house and I was in my office for like 2 hours. Came out and she had that look, that look that your wife gets when you've been home for almost 3 hours and all you did was wave. So from that day forward, we had this rule. No phone calls after 7, no phone calls on Sundays.
That's
so
fair.
All my clients know if it's after 7 or on a Sunday, I don't answer my phone. You can text me, you can email me. The only way that rule breaks is if I'm negotiating a contract and I'm talking to another realtor or I'm conveying terms and conditions back and forth after 7 o'clock. But there's absolutely nothing that I can do after 7 o'clock, Monday through Saturday, it's Sunday, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, that I can't get the answer for the following day.
Correct.
Nothing. Because
and in most cases, you couldn't if you wanted to anyway, especially if it required a bank or a lending institution of another kind, or because they only work 9 to 5, right? Or 8 to 4 or whatever. So I think that's fair, and it sets your life up so that people can't bother you at up 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then she has a life with you as well.
It's funny too, because I'll get a phone call at 7:05 and the first thing on the mouth, hi, and I don't answer it. It goes to voicemail. Hey, Chris, it's Mike, man. I know it's after 7. I know you're not calling back till tomorrow, but I just needed to have this answer, and then I will text and I will email because it's a simple thing. It's not, you can control the time. Like, hey, Mike, it's no big deal. Got your voicemail. The answer to the question is this.
Well, we all have a mutual friend, not you and I, but around here, we have a mutual friend in the group that I hang out with a lot. And it's known that, same thing. After 6 o'clock at night, he's just not available. That's his time. Whatever he's doing, he won't text you back. He won't call you back. But before that, he'll answer the phone. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But for the most part, people understand that. Myself, if I don't text you back, everybody's like, are you dead, sleeping, or in the car? Because now I can't even use the excuse in the car because I just hit a button and I say, call Chris. So that's awesome. Yeah. I love that part.
The only other caveat we've always told people, at least since 2015, if you call me and it takes me a couple hours to call you back, that's because I'm out running with my wife. We're doing a race or something or training. Otherwise,
you got to have a life.
You do. And that's what people don't understand. People think
my dad was one of the hardest working people I ever met. He would work every hour of overtime that they offered him, but he had a rule kind of like you and Nikki did with my mom. He didn't work on Sunday, which the guys in the union loved him because that was double time day. He always gave that up. Right. But he would work 12 hours on a Saturday and 12 hours every day during the week. That's what you had to do sometimes. But even he will be the first person to tell you if he feels like you're overworking yourself, there's more to life than money, right?
Yeah.
You have to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? You have a nice family, you have a beautiful wife, you have a nice house. You have to enjoy it sometimes.
Right, you do.
I learned that lesson from him for sure.
Yeah. It's,
stop and smell the roses, as they say.
Exactly. Because if you don't, life passes you by. Too many people have died. Too many people close to our age are leaving this earth right now.
I know, man. And if that's not, if you don't think that's lost on me, it's not for sure, because it does make you stop and think, go do whatever the bleep you want to do,
Yeah.
Don't let
Yep.
somebody tell you can't do it for whatever reason. You only get one life. And unfortunately, I always say, and everybody's like, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. I hope
Right.
you don't, but
No,
you could.
yeah. Yeah, that would be a drag if you got hit by a bus, but it can happen. I mean, that's why buses are out there.
I took 2 long drives in my fancy new car over my vacation.
Right on.
Those things I think about when I see people texting on their phone and just driving like morons, weaving in and out of traffic. It's like, life is precious, right?
Yeah. See, Arizona, they passed a law that motorcycles can do whatever the hell they want now.
Well, they got the California law where they can ride right down the middle of the...
Those are the ones that die. Those are the ones that are going to die because they just and have no regard. I mean, I used to chew, right? I chewed Copenhagen and Skull for years and years and years. And I don't know how many, countless number of times I'd open my door and spit, and if I did that now, sooner or later, a bike would hit me. I guarantee you, because
it's that frequent.
And they come up out of nowhere, and the little crotch rockets, not the Harleys. You can hear a Harley coming, but the crotch rockets, you don't hear those. And I don't
right
blast,
on top of you.
Right. And I don't blast my music when I'm in rush hour or just commuting. I've learned, though, commuting from here to my office, I play spa, the spa channel, because it keeps me zen.
I'm still on Slayer,
because
man. Slayer
drivers
keeps me zen.
Drivers are so bad, man. That I do that because it just keeps me zen. It's like I'm cool. Like, I stopped the audiobooks on the way to and from, because then I would forget where I drove. I'm like, oh shit, that's bad. How'd I get here? So
in all seriousness, you know what I do like is that yacht rock radio. It's like light rock 70s.
Actually, I do too.
I can
Nick
groove
plays
on
at the
that for
office,
hours,
man.
dude.
Yeah, Nick plays at the office.
What do they call that? That's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah. That busts out. We have Sonus at the office, so every now and then, when I'm alone, I put on Alter Bridge or Van Halen channel or something, so it's rocking out. But
I told my mom on that drive over to Iowa, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I was jamming yacht rock radio the whole way, and I knew every word to every one of those stupid songs, because we heard them over and over and over again on FM radio in the 70s.
Yeah. Yep.
That shit got ingrained into my brain as a young child, cruising around in Steele's 76 Impala.
There you go. That's awesome. All right, we're going to wrap this up, boys and girls. This has been Chris Dunham with a real estate guy. We got Mike here from Mike.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate
the Chris and Mike show. Yeah, it was a cool little impromptu. We had a guest on the Chris and Mike show that canceled. I was going to have a lender on earlier today, and we couldn't get the connection dialed in. So Mike and I jumped on to do our show, and I was like, hey, man, let's just hop over to this side. And it's cool because you have the perspective of somebody I've actually worked with. And he's indicative of people I work with, because once I sell them a house, I don't disappear.
No.
It's a lot of my,
been friends for 30 years.
Yeah. A lot of my past clients are just like Mike. They're people that I know and I talk to, randomly, and
he'll talk to you just like he's talking to me.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're ready to sell a bike, call the real estate guy.
Do it. Hold on. Let me see.
Yeah.
2-3-2-1-6188.
Yep.
Damn.
I had a commercial on KUPD.
3-2-1-6188.
Rob Trigg, I used to do overnights. I did the commercials on the overnights. Yeah. And Rob Trigg, I was like, I'm going to sing it, man. He's like, can you sing? I was like, oh yeah. So it was, the jingle was, when you're ready to sell a bike, call the real estate guy, 602-321-6188, 602-321-6188. When you're ready to sell a bike, call the real estate guy.
Quick funny story.
It,
I did
loved
too.
It.
The first time Carrie ever heard that, she called me up. She's like, have you heard Chris's new commercial on the radio yet? I said, no. She's like, you will. It was catchy.
It was fun. I'd get up and have like 50 missed phone calls. It was a fun time. Especially because back then I was doing, $500 can buy you a home, and nobody could touch that. So it was kind of cool. It was a good era. Yeah, there you go. Hey, I'm Chris Dunham. He's Mike Michaels. This has been A Moment with the Real Estate Guy. We'll see you next time. Later.
Peace.